And we are live. Hello, everyone. This is Dwight Woods, the Jeet Kune Do Rebel. Welcome to the Jeet Kune Do Dialogues episode number 337. As you're logging in, if you'd be kind enough to say where you're logging in from, hit the like button and feel free to continue doing so throughout the dialogue. If you're catching the simulcast over on the YouTube, please be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell as well. But of course, the best thing you can do is to share this video and spread the word about the Jeet Kune Do dialogues. Okay, so my dialogue partner today is a guy whose name I'm quite familiar with, but I think, Josh, this is the first time we have met and ever spoken, correct?
Yes.
Okay, well, Josh Horne, welcome to the Jeet Kune Do dialogues.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so Fresno, California. Were you born there?
Yes, I was. Lived here my whole life.
Really? Okay, so I did some research on Fresno. So it's supposedly the center of the state of California, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And what is it known for? Other than like I know that it's like close to Yosemite or something, so people pass through Fresno on their way back to Los Angeles or something like that.
So it used to be known for agriculture. There used to be a lot of grapes, stuff like that, but not as much anymore.
Ah, okay. So all your life you've been there.
Yeah. Whole
Hmm.
time.
So okay. So what is there to do? How did Jeet Kune Do get to Fresno then?
So Jeet Kune Do got here by my main teacher was Sebastian Nazario. He
Okay.
was a student of Jerry Poteet's,
Uh-huh.
and he's the one who that I found was a Jeet Kune Do. It took me a long time to find a teacher in this area.
Yeah. Is he still around?
He's retired, but
Okay.
he's talked about coming out of retirement. When you love the art, you don't stay retired for too long.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's interesting. I don't think I know his name. I'm not sure. But I don't think I've heard his name before. So how long did you train with him?
Oh, I trained with him for about 5 or 6 years straight, and then it
Hmm.
was on and off after that. But we're
Hmm.
still in contact, and we still talk.
Yeah. How
Talked
how
to him the
long?
other day.
Okay. How long have you been in the world of Jeet Kune Do, would you say?
So I started Jeet Kune Do back in 2007.
Okay.
So fairly young compared to most of the guys that come on here.
Oh, I have to ask you about that. So is there like a movie character or like a superhero or comic book character that people say you remind them of?
My one friend tells me I look like Yosemite Sam. I don't know if that's a compliment or not. Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah. No, because I looked at your pictures and I'm like, man, this guy reminds me of somebody or something, but I can't place it. So I wondered if there was ever something that people always said, yeah, you look like this guy from this movie or something like that.
No, that's the only one I can think of offhand.
Okay. Okay. Did you start martial art with Jeet Kune Do or did you like do something
No,
as
I
a kid
actually
or whatever?
started out in Shaolin Kung Fu,
Ah,
and that's where I got my first opportunity to start teaching. I opened the doors, cleaned the class, and taught the kids classes, and really enjoyed it. I got a lot of love for Shaolin.
how old were you when you started that and when you started
So
teaching?
I got a late start. I didn't start martial arts till I was 24.
Oh,
I always
wow.
wanted to, but I just didn't find anything that fit me in the area.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So I guess then because in the early days Fresno wasn't like on the martial art map or something then
What was that?
I guess in the early days Fresno perhaps wasn't on the martial art map.
I still don't think it is. Definitely not the mecca for martial arts.
So you telling me that Muay Thai and BJJ had and Krav Maga haven't found their way to Fresno?
Oh well, jujitsu. And Muay Thai are real popular here, just
Okay.
like most places,
Okay.
and that well deserved.
Right. Yeah. How did the Shaolin Kung Fu thing find it? How did Shaolin Kung Fu find its way to Fresno? Do you know?
So I grew up like a lot of people watching kung fu movies, and always loved kung fu.
Hmm.
Uh, One of my friends was studying there, and told me you should come down there with me. And I gave him a call, and they told me to come in that day, and went from there. And I just enjoyed it, and
Yeah.
I still keep up with the kung fu here and there.
Now, when you say Shaolin Kung Fu, is that a particular is that like an overall name for it, or is it a particular branch of Kung Fu or anything?
So it was animal style kung fu.
Oh, like five animal stuff?
Yeah.
Or so isn't that the like the Hunga system or something? Do you
Uh,
know?
they called it Southern Shaolin,
Okay.
but
Okay.
it's been so long ago I wouldn't remember most of it.
Yeah. Is there a relationship, even martial art wise, then between like Fresno and Oakland and San Francisco?
I'm not sure. I'm not really real close with the community. I kind of do my own thing, so I talk to a couple
Okay.
people here and there.
Yeah. How far is Fresno from like Sacramento, for example?
That's probably about 3 hours and about 4 hours to LA.
Jeez.
So I like to call it the armpit of California.
So when you guys move about, right? When you guys move about, do you drive or can you fly from Fresno wherever you want to?
Oh, you could drive. It's a short drive to Vegas too. That's about 6 hours.
I love it how Californians, right, think that 6 hours of driving is like nothing. That's got to be typical of like Californians because if I drove for 6 hours where I grew up, if you drove for 6 hours, you'd go around the island maybe 60 times. Because I was looking at that. Fresno is 115 square miles and has 540,000 people on it. Barbados, where I grew up, is bigger than Fresno. It's 166 square miles, but it only has half the amount of people, like 275,000. Yeah. So I thought I found that really, really interesting. But so if I visited Fresno, what is there that I would have to see? Like if you're a tourist in Fresno, what is it that you got to check out?
I would say there's really not a lot to see or do here. We
Really?
have a nice zoo. There's not really a whole bunch here. So we got a lot of bad areas if you like that sort of thing.
So those bad areas, do they provide like ample opportunity to test out your martial arts skills?
I would have to say, yeah. Speaking personally, I walk almost most of the places I go, so sometimes fights are unavoidable. Confrontation.
Ah, okay. All right. You go from Shaolin to what got you interested in Jeet Kune Do? You watched the movies, so I imagine that you saw Bruce Lee and what have you, right?
So yeah, it started out with the movies, and then of course I bought a copy of the Tao or the Tao of Jeet
Hmm.
Kune Do, and
Hmm.
I found it super fascinating, and that's what really kind of drove me more deeper into it. I like the philosophy aspect and that sort of thing.
Right. So what was your first step towards like learning something more about it, like instead of just the book?
So I went searching for a teacher, and I heard about a guy that was teaching here in Fresno years ago, but I wasn't able to find him. And then I found another guy, and I went to about a month of his classes, and I realized that I was being misled because I had read the Tao, and he didn't know some of the basic things like the Bai Zhang stance and things like that. But the guy's a great martial artist, and he could do just about anything Bruce Lee did in the movies. But he was from Mexico, and he was misled, so not his fault.
Wow. Okay. Um, Did you ever deal with them later on? Like do you have any idea if, because you know we talked in the early days, so back in the 70s and the 80s and what have you, there was a lot of that going on. A lot of people intentionally misrepresenting themselves, but there was also people who just didn't know any better, right? Do you have any idea if those guys in particular, like, did they ever develop into anything, or are you like completely out of touch with them and
I
what have
was
you?
completely out of touch with them, but I
Mhm.
assume they just kept doing what they were doing and just, you know, they were misguided and probably didn't even know what they were doing was wrong.
Right. Huh. Okay. Yeah. All right. Um, Hang on one second. Terry Mark, yeah, Facebook, for some reason, I can't get it to work today. So we're doing the opposite of what we usually do, which is YouTube only. So I'll put it up on Facebook when Josh and I are done talking. All right. So are people in your years of being involved in Jeet Kune Do, Josh? Do people come to you with a lot of misconceptions about what Jeet Kune Do is about?
I would say no, not really. A lot of people just don't have a real idea of what Jeet Kune Do is, and especially the younger generation. Some of them have no idea, but you know they've seen Bruce's movies, and that's what caught their interest. But
Right.
they have no idea of what Jeet Kune Do is, and
Yeah.
they just find it interesting, want to give it a try.
How do people find you? How do they find your place? Like on Facebook or what have you?
So I have a website, and a lot of people I teach are word of mouth.
Okay.
Right now, I
Okay.
just teach privates. I'm
Hmm.
taking care of my elderly mother that has dementia. She's 78, and I feel
Okay.
blessed to be able to give back to her
Yeah.
and help
Wow.
her out. So
Nice.
I only really have time for privates right now.
Right. Okay. And is it in your, like, your own building, your own place, or like in a gym, inside a gym or something?
So right now, it's either at my house or at the park, but I'm looking for a location. I'm in talks with
Ah,
someone right now.
okay. All right. Cool.
I've
Cool.
taught at a whole bunch of different places throughout the years, like
I know.
most of us probably have.
Well, yep. I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Right. Okay. All right. So I see in the background you have a picture of Sifu and Asano, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Now, but when I was looking you up, so what's your relationship with Inasano?
So I only got to meet him once. I went to a seminar in 2016, but
Okay.
he was such a nice and humble person. It was a great experience,
Hmm.
and I hope to one day be able to get to go back.
Okay.
So I have
Um,
love for
yeah.
the concepts branch as well.
We were actually talking about it today. They haven't announced if he's going to be in Stockton. Stockton is like, in generally speaking, in your area, right?
Yeah, a little closer, be a
Yeah.
little easier.
Yeah, right. So they haven't announced it. Last year, if I remember correctly, and if Ron remembers correctly, it was in August, but we haven't heard anything about it this year. So maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. But you might want to keep your eyes and ears open for that, because that would be cool. Okay, so the other thing that I saw you have relationships with Richard Burgess, with Gary Dill, and with Ron Balicki, correct?
Yes,
Okay,
I've done Ron
what?
Balicki's online program.
Okay, so what order did that go in?
So I started with Richard Vigslist. He recently changed his name from Burgess to Vigslist.
Okay,
So I've been with Richard for about 8 years,
okay.
and he's always continuing to share. And you know, some people think he's a tough guy, but it's just what I needed. I love that about him.
Well, I'm sure he's a tough guy, but he's wicked smart,
Oh yeah,
right? He's wicked smart, and that, unfortunately, on the internet, not that he cares, but that could get you in trouble on the internet when you're when you have a certain kind of intellect, right, then people get rubbed the wrong way too easily. And I suspect that he delights in doing that to people.
Yeah, I assume he enjoys it.
Yeah, I had asked him to come on the show, but there's some people that it just takes them a while, I guess, to warm up to the idea. So now that you've come on, maybe he'll be a little bit more willing to do the same thing, because I love to talk to him and pick his brain, right? So okay,
I'll ask him again when I speak with him.
yeah, yeah, okay. So it was so then you're so then well he's a student under Gary Dill, correct?
Yes,
Okay, so then I assume that your introduction to Gary Dill was through him.
yes,
Okay, so then that led to certification under Mr. Dill as well, right?
yeah. Since I was a student under Richards for 8 years and certified by him,
Uh-huh.
he also certified me as well.
Oh, okay. So you didn't actually train with him.
No,
Okay, okay. And then you say you did Beliki's online program,
yeah, a
right?
lot of great information on there. I'm going to keep that up. I really enjoy it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So tell me a little bit then about how you put all of this together, right? When you're teaching, right? When you're teaching and training, how do you put all of this together? Like, what's the is do you have a format, a structure behind it?
Well, so I always write a syllabus every time before class, but
Mm-hmm.
I always try to keep the basics generally the same. I feel you should have the on guard stance, the footwork, and the principles.
Mm-hmm.
And of course the straight lead. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel you should those are must to me.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to have the basics to have a good foundation and then to be able to build from.
Right. What do the basics, like in the Mars program, and what's it called? Is it Jeet Kune Do World Council? Is
Yes,
that
Richard's program.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right. Okay. But in terms of what they teach, it's the scientific street fighting curriculum.
So Richards would be more of the original JKD,
Right.
and he likes to focus a lot on the principles.
Okay. Okay. All right. So then, what do you see it? Because Mars, if I remember correctly from what I saw, you're level one in Junfan Jikendo, Mafalendo Silat, and Filipino Kali, correct?
Yeah. So I got level 2 in the Cali and the C lot.
Right. Okay. All right. Right. So give me an idea then of how you take all this information and distill it into a presentation for your students. I mean, I know you said, focus on the basics and what have you, but the basics of original Jeet Kune Do and the basics of Filipino Kali are not the same,
Yes.
right? So give me an idea of what your approach is.
So it kind of depends what I'm doing because a lot of people just come to me for actual self defense classes,
Okay.
and that's how I got a little bit more known. When I was just teaching Jeet Kune Do by itself, I wasn't finding a lot of interest there as much as I was for the self defense classes. So, and it also depends on the student. Not everyone's interested in the Cali and other arts.
Hmm.
So when I'm teaching privately, it could be more catered towards them.
Okay. So how do you distinguish then between teaching, like you just said, not that much interest when you were teaching Jeet Kune Do, but more interest when you're teaching self defense? Is there like actual physical difference in what you teach, or is it just the names behind it?
There'll be a slight difference.
How so? Can you describe
Uh,
that?
so so the self defense is going to work on regular body mechanics and simplicity in movements and natural body response
Hmm.
instead of sitting there and trying to making everything all perfect every time. A lot of times people are there for the self defense. They're not going to sit there and train for years at a time.
Okay. Do you ever try to like take somebody who came for self defense and turn them into a regular martial arts student, or vice versa?
It all depends on the individual. Everyone has their likes and dislikes. So,
Yeah.
usually after a bit of time, they tend to want to learn more Jeet Kune Do once they realize a lot of my self defense stems from Jeet Kune Do.
Right. Right. Yeah. Well, see now that makes sense. That makes sense. Um, so if people aren't asking, like for example, specifically for Mafilindo Silat, right? So then, how do you keep up your own training in it?
So I just always try to always be a student first, and I just try to learn everything I can from anywhere I can.
I have some friends who will tell you to be very careful about that, right? Because you know, like you were saying earlier, all right, there are people who could look real, like you were talking about the guys who were misled, right, earlier. So if you, but you got experience, so I think you could pretty much tell if somebody tried to sell you on something, you'd be able to tell pretty quickly whether or not it was authentic, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
No
Um,
snake oil salesman.
right, right. I want to ask you. It's a generic question, but I like to hear people's different answers to it. What does Jeet Kune Do mean to you?
So Jeet Kune Do would mean Bruce Lee's art and philosophy.
Okay. Um, can you make a more personal definition, like as in what it's done for you as a student of it?
Well, one thing it's done for me is to make me research and think for myself, and not just blindly follow the crowd.
Okay. So, what's an example of stuff that you researched?
Uh, so I like to deep dive into things. So just like you know, uh, the original versus concepts idea, which I find kind of silly. That argument was around long before I started Jeet Kune Do, so I've kind of always looked at it as an outsider.
Right. What have you come up with? Observing that, I agree with you. Silly argument. What have you come up with? What are your like final conclusions about it?
That people should just do what they feel is right for them, and don't be so concerned about names and styles or systems. It's like that's what I think people should try to free themselves from, and don't just get so stuck in the name.
Hmm.
Find what works for you, research for yourself, and everyone has different abilities and everyone has their own likes and dislikes.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. What do you like and dislike in the world of martial art?
Uh, so I like the sparring aspect. I like the weapons training. I like more of the practical applications.
Okay.
Uh,
What do you
some of the
dis?
thing I dislike would be a lot of the arguments and how people just don't even try to get along. My dad could beat up your dad type of stuff and just sound like a bunch of bickering little kids. And
Yeah.
most of the people having these arguments couldn't fight themselves out of a wet paper bag.
But man, listen, there right now, even right now, there's stuff going on, and when you look at the history of one of the main protagonists, right, it's like one class with a guy, and he's got students. He took one class with a guy, right, but now he's got his own students, and every day he's on there telling a lot of us what we are doing wrong, and how what we believe is incorrect. It's amazing.
Well, I'm not going to say that he's right because it's highly doubtful. But what's right in his mind is his interpretation. Everyone has their own opinion.
Yeah, but isn't but what do you think it is about? Jeet Kune Do that attracts that kind of, because I don't think you'd ever come across somebody online who took one class in Shotokan karate, right? One class in Shaolin Kung Fu, and then the next thing you know, he's got students of his own.
I have no idea when they would go to that guy. Maybe he's a great street fighter, or he's just really charismatic.
Yeah, there must be something. There must be something. Um, so talk to me about, but because it is part of the argument, right? The whole weapons training thing. What do you like about the Filipino, the Kali stuff?
So I actually started screaming when I was doing kung fu. I got introduced to a screaming. I just loved it. I felt it was a little more
Ah,
practical. You could find a stick up off the ground, and really like the angles and the simplicity of it.
hmm. What was that part of the curriculum at the
So
kung
yeah, it was
fu school?
a martial arts school. It was Red Dragon Martial Arts, and so they actually had other teachers come from other arts that would share like Aikido and other things.
Ah, okay, okay, all right, yeah. So you got you got like the smorgasbord thing, right? Being able to see different things.
Yeah, and I feel real fortunate to be able to try different things, and really kind of helps you keep your mind open.
Yeah. Do you feel like do you wish that you had started earlier instead?
Oh yeah, I always wanted
Yeah.
to as a kid. I was bullied and jumped a lot when I was a kid, and you know I've
Uh,
got into the martial arts to be able to protect myself, and I continue to train and teach so I can help other people.
right. Right. Yeah. Um, who else in the JKD world have you not met or met only once that you'd like to come across again?
So I haven't met Ron Balicki yet. I'd love to meet him. He seems really interesting. Of course, I'd
Hmm.
like to meet Gary Dill. Uh, there's just quite a few I'd love to learn from.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Ron, I haven't, let's see, when did I see him? He was here. Actually, it was kind of funny. I couldn't remember when he was here in Miami, and then Ron was, and I was like, oh, it was only a few years ago, and then Ron was like, no, it's like 6 years ago, and I'm like, what, right? But we saw Ron and Diana. Maybe it was last year or 2 years ago when we were in LA. We went out. We were actually in LA on Father's Day, and for an Inasano event, and met Diana and Ron at breakfast, and then went over to her father's school. Right, same time as them. I think that's the last time I saw him. Is that
Nice.
right? Is that right? Or wait, no, no. You know, it's the last time I saw him when he hired me to do stunt work in St. Kitts.
I seen the clip that you shared. That looked like a whole bunch of fun.
Yeah, yeah, it's long hours of fun, right? But yeah, yeah, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. kind of fun, right? Which is not easy for an old guy like me. Young guys like you can handle that type of stuff, you know. But yeah, yeah.
Well, I don't know. I'm not that young. It might be a little rough for me too.
Yeah, I think so. That might have been the last time I saw Ron. Was down in the islands, yeah, and that was real cool of him to set that up for me because it was quite it was quite the experience. Um, so the Silat stuff, does that do you find it easy to incorporate that with, because I'm still intrigued by what you've gone and studied and gotten certification in, and how do you put it together, and if you do, how you put it together and what have you. So what's the high point for you in the CLOT stuff?
Well, with some of the sea lot, some of the trapping. is really interesting, uh, similar to the Filipino trapping, and I really like that.
Mm.
There's a lot of similarities between the silat and the Filipino arts. I really love the foot sectors and the foot sweeps.
Uh-huh.
I think those are very useful.
Uh-huh. Is that part of your self-defense teaching? Would you
Yeah, the
show,
foot sweeps are in there.
yeah, you show people that for self-defense?
Yeah, so
Mm.
it's a some people might say it's a hodgepodge of stuff I just thrown together, but I try to find stuff that has worked for me, and everyone's different, but I try to be practical and
Hmm.
I've had a rough life growing up, so I have a good idea of what can work and what can't.
Well, right, yeah. Um, so I guess then, based on your knowledge of what works and doesn't work, you recommend that people be open-minded or active-minded and look around at different things?
I think everyone should research on their own and be open minded. Don't get stay stuck in a box.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good things out there and all kinds of different arts. A lot of people just train one style and they just think that their style is the best style, but they've never trained with anyone else or any other style.
Hmm.
Without doing that comparison type training, you have no right to say that your art's the best.
What's your experience with like the Muay Thai and the Jiu-Jitsu?
So I've had a friend show me a little bit of jujitsu here and there, but no Muay Thai training. But we've done some body conditioning with the leg kicks and some body toughening. So I like what they do, but that's not for me. I ain't that tough. Those guys like
Yeah.
to beat each other down.
Yeah, yeah, they have quite the interesting approach, I guess, right? Um, when you said you're in talks with, I guess with like a landlord or something to get a spot, right?
So I'm talking about one friend. He has a little spot at a boxing place, and I have another friend who does MMA,
Uh-huh.
and he has his own school.
Okay.
So I'm in talks with either of them. I'm just trying to teach some privates. Hopefully, I can get to teach kids classes or
That's
women's
what I
self
was
defense classes in the future.
right. That's what I was going to ask you, whether or not you would, if you get your own spot, right? If you would start teaching kids again.
Oh yeah, I'll 100% teach kids. Like
Yeah.
I said, I got bullied as a kid, so nothing
Yeah.
I like to do more than anything is to teach kids and to help empower people. And a lot of people just need help building that confidence.
Hmm. Hmm. How do you have to modify anything that you teach for the kids?
Oh yeah, I don't teach knife fighting to kids, so yeah, there's quite a few modifications, but all the basics, the footwork, the stances, there's not too much modification, and a lot of the stuff the kids can do. You
Hmm.
know, from the Filipino martial arts, they I like to teach them a lot of drills, so they love hubud and stuff like that.
Right.
It
What
helps with coordination.
what age do you start them at?
The youngest I've taught was 4 years old.
Really?
Yes,
Wow.
long as they're potty trained.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Um, but you don't have kids like in your private clientele. You don't have kids in that, right?
No, not at this moment, but I have.
Okay. But you have had kids
Yes.
as really?
Usually, I try to get one or two of them because they seem to work better when they can work with other kids their same size, their same age. So,
Right. Yeah.
just trying to teach a kid by themselves is a little more difficult, but you still can. You
Yeah.
can have them punch the mitts and do a lot of stuff with you.
Yeah. When you were when you were teaching the kids classes in the Shaolin Kung Fu, were you were you like studying like the business end of it, or just teaching?
Not at all at that point in time. So I had no clue. They didn't give me any heads up of what to do. Uh, they just threw me out there to the wolves, and it
Right.
was really challenging. But I've taught kids at a lot of places since then. Like Heal One World was a nonprofit. I've always tried to give back. I
Uh,
taught kids at Metal Mark, Rock Climbing and Fitness. So I've learned a lot from
yeah.
then. But
Yeah.
it was a good start with the Kung Fu because it was real traditional, gets that stance, and you know, a lot harder to teach though.
Right. Did you see? Well, I mean, I don't even know if you watched the show, but a few weeks ago, Nick Furuki was on, and he had just written his book, Mastering the Martial Arts Business. Did you see that one?
Oh, I must have missed that one.
Okay, yeah. So, well, I mean, if you're looking to go into your own spot and what have you, you might want to get your hands on that, right? But did you said back then you didn't study? Did you go on to study anything about martial art business?
Uh, no, not really. I seem to do well without it when it comes to teaching kids. You know, and I'm not just in it for the money. I enjoy what I do, and I love to be able to help people. So, I'm not really worried about being super lucrative. I prefer the giving back aspect of it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think that I would recommend, even if ultimately you decide, well, it's not for me. I would still recommend taking a look at Nick's book, right?
Oh, I
Because
will do for sure.
yeah, it will inform you as to how to think in terms of professionalizing and what have you, right? I loved it. I thought it was a really really good book, and I mean, and I've read a ton of business books, and I've read, I wouldn't say there's a ton of martial art business books out there, right? But there are martial art business books, and I've read those as well. And Nick's is, it really stands out, at the top of the pile.
So
In
I
my
haven't read any martial arts business books, so I'm definitely going to give that a read.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Nick Furuki, Mastering the Martial Arts Business, really, really good, right? Are you a like a hardcover reader, or do you do like the Kindle online stuff?
Oh, I got to have an actual book in front of me. I
I
stare
hear
at the screen for too long and it hurts my eyes.
you.
That's a little easier to have the book right in front of me.
Yeah, what I like about the book is that I can mark it up, and go back to it and look at stuff and what have you, right?
You're a note taker.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, all the time, all the time. Even like I've been training with Dan Inasano since 1983, right? The next time that I'm in a seminar with him, my notebook will be open, right? And I'm gonna make notes about what it is that we're doing, right? Because it's always fun for me to go back, like even a couple weeks later, and take a look at the notes. Do you do that?
Oh, I've always taken notes. I'll draw little stick figures, all that.
Yeah.
I encourage my students to take notes. I got
every
one guy,
every
he,
class.
he, he has thick binders of notes that he takes all the time. He's a
Hmm.
great note taker.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I know. So some people, like, I privately question students who don't have notebooks, right? And by privately question, I don't mean I question them. I mean I question privately in my mind, why doesn't this guy have a notebook? You know, but I
Either
don't
that or you
force it
better
on them.
record a lot of video.
Yeah. Right. I
It's
don't.
nice reference to have.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I mean, even like imagine being able to go back 20 years from now, right? And look at where you are and look at where you came from, like your first notebook and what have you. And
I was
it
just going through one of my drawers the other day and I have some notes from about 15 years ago. I was like, wow, my handwriting was better. And then some stuff I'll write notes and I won't even know what I'm talking about. It's been so
Right.
long.
Yeah, yeah. I tell people all the time, back in the day, um, my good buddy, the late Neil Colliff, he and I, we would be at seminar, and then we would go back to the hotel, and we would do what I call write out the notes in English, right?
Oh, yeah,
But
yeah.
right, Neil, Neil was much more of a visual learner than I was. So he could see it. I had to see it, write it down, and then try it. Neil could see it and try it immediately, you know? So then when we got back to the hotel room, he would like copy my notes and what have you, you know? So we were a good team for many, many years, um, going all over the place together. Do you have a training partner, like even if it's one of your students, that's like the guy
Also,
that you?
I have one good student, Chris.
Uh,
Uh, he trains all the time. He comes about 4 or 5 times a week, and he'll let me try new material on him. And he's a
good,
pretty diehard type of guy.
good. That yeah, it's good to have at least one of those, you know, for sure. Somebody who's like a good sponge, right? Who'll soak up anything it is that you put out, right, and can give you the feedback and what have you. That's always good. That's always good. Yeah. Um, so, all right, I want to start wrapping this up because it is Independence Day, and thank you for taking time out of the holiday, you know, to
Oh,
hang out
thank you for
with,
having me on.
to hang out with me and do this. Is there anybody that I have not yet had on? Now, like I told you, I have reached out to Richard Burgess. I don't know what his new name is, right? Okay. And I do have Gary Dill on my list, right? So, is there anybody else that you could think of that I had that you've not seen on the show?
So I'll message a couple people and see what they think after they see me come on,
Okay.
and see if they're interested. And I'll send you a message if I get any yeses.
Yeah, yeah, because I think I tell people this all the time too, that our I think Jeet Kune Do is one of the worst organized but biggest martial art families that there is. I mean, like any family, you have your squabbles and what have you. So this group doesn't. This set this set of siblings doesn't see eye to eye, but yeah, I think you tell me if you agree with this. If people would just get together, do you think we would see more differences or more similarities?
Well, I always think that people should seek similarities, and then you'll realize there's not as many differences as you think. A lot of people just aren't willing to come out, and a lot of
Yeah,
people aren't willing to do the podcast because they're probably just too shy.
yeah. Well, you don't have to worry about that.
Not everyone wants to be. Some people are controversial, and they probably don't want to stir the pot.
Yeah, yeah, but I don't know that it's controversial necessarily to disagree. I mean, there was a time where maybe it's not like that since the advent of like social media, where you could launch a campaign to get somebody canceled, right? But there was a time when I think we were more civil to each other, weren't we? Like you didn't disagree. You didn't agree on everything, but that didn't stop you from being best friends, did it?
That's the way it should be.
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you think is the main cause of that age old argument?
A
Original
lot
Jeet
of
Kune
it's
Do.
ego.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of it's ego,
People wanting to be right. People wanted to be, like you said, my dad can beat up your dad type of thing.
and that superiority complex. They don't want to be challenged.
Uh-huh. So they're not living in the real world, are they?
No, they're living in their own minds.
Yeah, it is, to me, it is an interesting phenomenon to observe because what do we all have in common? We all have Bruce Lee in common, right? So what would you say? What was the first major lesson that you got from Bruce Lee when you were reading the Tao? What would you say? Can you remember?
So I don't know. It's kind of hard back to think back. What are the first things I learned? So
But
just
what?
being simple and direct,
Uh,
I find is really important. Still to this day, a lot of times when I practice on my own, I'm always practicing basics.
hmm hmm We I was talking with a friend of mine earlier, just a couple hours ago. So simple and direct, right? In martial art, does that have like a outside of martial art application for you?
Well, yeah, you shouldn't try to overcomplicate everything. You know,
Yeah,
a
yeah.
lot of things are just simple, and people like to tend to complicate them in their minds.
Well, I think that's what that does is that provides ammunition for like therapists and what have you, to work through stuff with people. Um, what would you say is like outside of the physical benefits? What do you say are like other benefits that martial art training can give people? You mentioned confidence earlier and what have you. Anything else?
Well, one of the things what martial arts does for me, it helps me live in the moment. When I'm practicing martial arts, I'm not thinking about all my problems, my everyday life. I'm
Mhm.
focused on not getting punched in the face and things like that. So it's nice to live in the moment.
Right. Yeah. You got to watch out for that guy Chris, I guess, huh?
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. He can't wait to get me back. He probably thinking about ways to get me back as we speak.
I hope he's watching, right? And he gets the shout out.
I'm sure he will.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Okay, Josh, I'm gonna let you go, right? Because it's coming up on 7 o'clock, and fortunately for us, it stopped raining, so we probably will be able to do the fireworks and what have you. What are you gonna do for Independence Day?
So I'm gonna sit here and have dinner with my mom, and
Okay.
then I'm gonna go to my friend's house, and he's gonna have some little fireworks, drink some beer, have a good
All
time.
right. All right. Chris Horn, you're a good man and a good son.
Thank you, sir.
All right. And thanks for spending some time with me. I look forward to doing this again.
Thanks for having me.
Okay. All right. You take care now. All right. He's a good guy. But Be Live messed up again. So I don't know what happened to this thing on Facebook and what have you. So I'll talk to support and see what happens. All right. So that's it for today, episode 337. Josh is on Facebook at Academy of JKD Fresno, and also Josh Horne, Horne. Um, Let me just show you guys this. Let me change it a little bit. Okay, so this is the GoFundMe for my student Wayne in Barbados, and his wife's fight against breast cancer. So if you just write down that GoFundMe URL and contribute there, I would really appreciate it. I would also appreciate it if you guys, if you have not yet, go to facebook.com/the Jeet Kune Do Dialogues and like and follow that page. The other page to like and follow is my other podcast, the I Love Jeet Kune Do broadcast. And so yeah, they're long names, but I couldn't think of anything cute to name them under. So go to facebook.com/the I Love Jeet Kune Do broadcast. If you're on the YouTube, you can also find the channels under the same names there, the long name, the Jeet Kune Do Dialogues, and the I Love Jeet Kune Do broadcast, and just subscribe over there as well. What else? One more Facebook page to like and follow, JKD Drills. That's the shortest name. Facebook.com/JKD Drills. At paypal.me/unified MA Miami. PayPal.me/unified MA Miami. The Jeet Kune Do Journey raw but edited version is available. That's paypal.me/unified MA Miami. Um, and last but not least, since we are live only on on the YouTube, if you click that join button that you see there, that will take you to where you can sign up to be a paid subscriber, right? And you'd see all the different levels of subscription that we have. But this is just click the join button on the YouTube channel. Okay. Next Friday, we will be in Reseda with Cass Magda. Ronnie Reagan and I are heading out. And so probably will not have time to do an episode of the dialogues next Friday. We'll be back in town, so Wednesday will be the broadcast. The following Friday, I was supposed to be in Dallas, so let me take the opportunity now. So anybody who was aware that Sifu and Asano was going to be in Dallas 2 weekends from now, that seminar has been postponed. So if you somehow did not get word of that or what have you, let me put that out to you and spread the word. The Inasano Dallas seminar, which was supposed to be on the 19th and 20th, has been postponed. So keep your ears and eyes out for when that comes back. And that is it. Happy Independence Day to those of you in the States and possessions of the States. All right. This is Dwight Woods, the Jeet Kune Do Rebel, signing off. You guys take care, and we will talk soon. Have a great weekend.